Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Fridays for Florida virtual discussion on housing. My name is Ellison, and I'm running for the United States Senate to represent your interests in the United States Congress. We wanted to talk about housing as a major crisis in the United States. Housing is also a major problem in the state of Florida. And as we all know, housing is something that is basically the foundation of American stability. It's the foundation of what it means to live the American dream. And for so many Americans, housing is a huge factor when it comes to people's inability to be able to pay for housing. And so we have to have more affordable housing programs. There are many parts of Florida that rank as some of the most high and unaffordable places to live, with a combination of low incomes and high housing costs. Housing and the inability of many Americans to afford safe and stable housing is a major social factor in the state of Florida and across the nation. I know that there are Floridians without permanent housing. Many of them are staying in rundown, extended stay motels, which are unsustainable. It's an unsustainable reality for many people. Residents don't have to come up with a first or a last month security deposit, allowing them to pay by the week, which really hurts people in the long term financially because of the high rates. Spiraling housing costs, shrinking supply of middle income homes, lower average pay, and increasing demands as many people move to Florida prove to be a major factor for why there needs to be more affordable housing programs. While the cost of housing is increasingly becoming more expensive, incomes have not kept the same pace as housing costs or the rate of inflation. The average price of an existing condominium in Miami is up 24% over the past year. The average price of a single family home in South Florida is close to $500,000. Affordable housing is and has been a challenge in many parts of Florida for years. Any solutions to increasingly unaffordable homes and apartments would have to balance the need for population growth with Florida's fragile environment, choke transportation, and squeeze geography shaped by water. Over the past decade, South Florida's population has grown by 10%. Osceola County in Central Florida has grown by nearly 40%, making it the fastest growing county in the state. The effort to find the right economic scales to encourage more affordable housing puts pressure on local governments to find more land. And this is the problem. It increasingly causes problems on our environment, developed by the natural areas, oftentimes far away from employment centers, forcing residents to deal with longer commutes. And so when you think about affordable housing, you think about housing in general in a place where people are needing to live in relation to where they're working, transportation comes into play. If people can't get to work, then usually they're going to be stuck in places where they're forced to, rather than being able to get there because of good transportation. Like, for example, where I live, Highlands County, where I'm from, Hardy County, people are forced to live in places where they really can't get to good paying jobs. And if you can't get to good paying jobs, then you won't be able to pay for better housing, because where I'm from, there is no public transit system. You either have to have a car or you simply can't get to work. And so commuting or transportation becomes a burden for many residents, especially residents who live in rural areas inside of Florida. As of January 2020, Florida has had an increased rate of people experiencing homelessness to the tune of 27,487 people on any given day. And this report comes by the Continuums of Care to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Most of these individuals are adult men. A more detailed look at homelessness tells a deeper story of the people affected. More than 91,000 Floridian school kids experienced homelessness during the first year of the pandemic, according to data came from the United States Department of Education. Of those 11,000 children, they spent their first nights in what is known as shelters or either motels. And for there to be children who are going to school, trying to get an education, staying the night in motels and staying the night in homeless shelters, this is just simply not acceptable. This is not good for children. It's not sustainable. It's not stable. And our children need the best. Our children need to be stable as they go to school, because if you're not comfortable, if you're not stable, if you don't have a roof over your head, you don't know where you're going to sleep that night, that is a lot of stress for a child. It's a lot of stress for anybody. But sometimes when we think about what stresses adults, we oftentimes forget about what's stressing our children. And if we want our children to have the best education, then we must have programs that actually strengthen families. And strengthening families means that we have to do everything that we can from an investment standpoint at the state level, as well as at the federal level, to make sure that children are fed, to make sure that they have a roof over their head, to make sure that their families, their mothers and fathers are taken care of. Because at the end of the day, if we are taxpayers, it is incumbent upon our government to make sure that we are safe, secure, and that we are being placed in a situation that our quality of life is always being improved. That is the role of government. And whenever I see leaders that are not doing what is necessary to look out for the welfare of families in the state and families across this nation, it reminds me of why I'm running. I am running for office to make sure that we can improve the quality of life for everyone. It is something that I believe that every elected official should always look to. I think that policy ideas should always be based on the idea of improving the quality of life. And having affordable housing is so important, because without affordable housing, we're always going to have people that are going to become homeless, that are going to slip through the cracks. And without a home, everything else falls apart. You can't even get an address to have mail sent if you don't have a home. You can't really get a job because people need to be able to send mail to your home. And so it's important that we invest in affordable housing programs. It's important that we invest in any program that could potentially create a scenario where people are financially strengthened. And as senator, there are programs that I want to be able to support, programs like universal basic income. I want to be able to support programs like that because it's a program that, when you think about the 33 developed nations around the world, America is the only country that does not have a universal basic income. And so for people who don't know what that is, a universal basic income is income that comes from the government. Sometimes it can come monthly or it may come quarterly. Some countries, universal basic income comes yearly, depending on the country. But basically, it's income that you can depend on that comes from the government. It could be $1,400 a month. It can be $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month. But whatever it is, it would definitely go a long way to make sure that Floridians and citizens across this nation are placed in a position to be able to afford housing. It does not make anyone rich, but it gives a basic level of income so that someone could pay for rent, someone could pay for a down payment on a car to get to work, so they can be able to afford housing, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a rent. It's just so important, and we know, because I'm sure you know someone, if you're not dealing with this yourself, that's facing this housing crisis in the state, facing this housing crisis in this country. The thing that's not going up is incomes. I believe that we should have a minimum wage that is one that people can work without having to work 2 and 3 jobs. I believe that we should really have what I call a thriving wage. A thriving wage is $15 or more. I'm a business owner, and whenever I've had employees in prior businesses, I've always paid my employees $20 or better. even if meant that I had to take a cut to make sure that my employees were being able to get the kind of money they need so they can take care of their obligations. There is nothing better than having employees that are being paid well so that they can take care of their families, because those employees are going to be the best employees. And it's so sad to see individuals still paying people uh, the below minimum wage. I know that there are companies, organizations that are paying people below minimum wage. I believe that there should be policies that should lift people out of poverty, universal basic income, wage subsidies, programs that actually pay for child daycare, programs that invest in affordable housing. All of these programs can help families. Imagine if we had a universal healthcare system. If we had a universal healthcare system, no one would have to worry about how they're going to pay an insurance company in order to be able to get access to healthcare. If we had that, that would help a lot of families. I know families that are paying as much as 300 a month, 400 a month, 600 a month, even $1,000 a month for insurance to be able to get access to healthcare. And the thing is, if you are paying that kind of money every month, you're probably also paying high deductibles. You're probably paying co-pays, and you're paying a premium for prescription drug costs. Universal healthcare would actually eliminate all of those costs, putting those dollars back into the pockets of everyday citizens, everyday residents, and those funds could actually go towards housing. My name is Ellison, running for the United States Senate. Thank you so much for joining us for our Fridays for Florida conversation on housing. If you have any questions, please put your questions into the chat feature, and we will definitely do our best to get back and answer any question that you might have. Also at 7:30, visit us on Facebook for our Power Hour Town Hall, where I'm going to answer any question that you have in under an hour. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.